basic legal tasks, department's own pro bono efforts. Justice Department employees every day provide pro bono legal services to help veterans fill out the necessary forms, to help people with their wills, to help service members with respect to their debts, and various other things. And that's another organizing section of this office.
Well, thank you, Mr. Attorney General. I look forward to working with you and with that office. We were just one vote shy of getting this bill into law at the end of last year. I look forward to partnering with you on finding ways to reduce these driver's license suspensions and deadly fee issues. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Cohen. Senator Cotton.
Mr. Attorney General, I want to explore the dangerous crisis in our southern border and your role in causing that crisis. Asylum traditionally is reserved for people who face things like religious persecution, persecution for their political beliefs, or violence because of their race or ethnicity. In June of 2021, you changed the department's asylum rules so that it could apply to individuals with significant gang violence in their home country. Is that 2021 interpretation still in place?
It is. It reinstates a previous interpretation the department had of the same asylum rules, yes.
Okay. Do you know the most recent murder rate in Honduras?
I'm sure it's enormously high.
It's 36 per 100,000 people. What about Colombia?
I don't know.
23 per 100,000. Guatemala?
Again, I don't know, but I believe it's
17 per 100,000. What about Mexico, right across our southern border?
Also,
Do you know the murder rate in New Orleans last year?
I don't. I want to be clear. This wasn't based on violence. This is based on threats, specifically to individuals, on gangs, where the country was unable to protect the person. That's what it was about. It wasn't about violence.
Well, okay. Well, you're partly responsible for protecting Americans. So let's see. Honduras' government can protect its own people, except for 36 out of every 100,000 for murders. Guatemala, 17 out of every 100,000. The murder rate in New Orleans last year was 70 for every 100,000. What about St. Louis?
Again, it's very high.
68 per 100,000. What about Baltimore?
Also very high.
58 per 100,000. Should American citizens in places like New Orleans and Baltimore and St. Louis begin to seek asylum in countries like Honduras and Guatemala under your asylum principles?
Again, I'm saying that the principle here is protection of specific individuals who are being threatened by the gang and where the local country is unwilling or unable to protect them.
So is the United States government and the city governments of St. Louis and Baltimore and New Orleans unwilling or unable to protect
I
the
don't believe they're unwilling. They're doing everything that they can. We're supporting them in every way they can. The examples that you're talking about are ones where they are unwilling to protect from the gangs.
So, Mr. Attorney General, one of the reasons we have a crisis at our border where we have illegal aliens running to our border patrol, not away from our border patrol, is this interpretation.
And to make sure they get sleep at night so they can be ready for school.
Yes.
Here's what I've always been confused about. Didn't you understand the chilling effect that it would have to parents when you issued your directive, when you directed your criminal divisions and your counterterrorism divisions to investigate parents who are angry at school boards and administrators during COVID?
Senator, if you just give me a moment to put the full context, I did not do that. I did not issue any memorandum directing the investigation of parents who are concerned about their children. Quite to the contrary, the memorandum that you're talking about says at the very beginning of the memorandum that vigorous public debate is protected by the First Amendment. And the kind of concerns that you're talking about are, as expressed by parents, are of course completely protected. The memorandum was aimed at violence and threats of violence against a whole host of school personnel. It was not aimed at parents making complaints to their school board. And it came in the context of a whole series of other kinds of violent threats and violence against other public officials.
Let's walk through this. Your directive to your criminal division and your counterterrorism division came in a response to a letter from the National School Boards Association, did it not?
part to the letter and in part to news reports of violence.
And the National School investigating parents who are angry.